18,000 on hand, a sellout crowd here at the Fleet Center. The Celtics a moment ago receiving a rousing ovation during the player introduction. A look at the starting lineup. First for the Pacers, Jamal Tinsley, Reggie Miller, who has not been able to get going. Ron Artest, who had a terrific game here on Tuesday night. Brad Miller and Jermaine O'Neal coming off a 22-rebound performance. Here are the Celtics: Paul Pearson, Tony Delkin, the guards, Antoine Walker, Tony McKee, and Walter McCarty. McCarty has worked his way into the starting lineup.
Marvin, there are keys to the game from the Indiana standpoint. It's number one to stop a Pierce explosion. There's always been 2 to 3 minutes in the wins for the Celtics where he's gone off. Second, they must keep him off the foul line. They're averaging 7 more free throws a game. And third, they have to rebound the basketball. They're +5 in the rebound category per game.
The officials: Joe Crawford, Bill Spooner, and Luis Grillo. It's Matee and O'Neal as Crawford tosses, and we're underway in Game 6. Indiana in control. Miller for Artest. Tinsley tried to get Miller going right at the start, but Reggie threw it back out. Artest being played by McCarty. McCarty went down, and here's Miller for 3. Comes back to Artest in another possession for Indiana. Tinsley for 3. McKee able to kick it. Back comes McCarty and the Celtics to the offense for the first time.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see how long Indiana goes with this lineup. Last game, a quick substitution. Brad Miller may come out early, and Tinsley may come out early for Indiana.
McCarty. McCarty, who has been proficient from three-point range, opens up the score.
And that's been the key change in starting lineups. McCarty going into the starting lineup for Game 3 after the series was 1-1 in Game 2. Eric Williams sat. McCarty came in because Brad Miller was matching up against Eric Williams, and he could not get off in the post area. Miller was too big. Williams is not a perimeter shooter. By McCarty starting, it opened up the court for the Celtics.
All right, the Celtic foul charged Paul Pierce. They double up on O'Neal. Artest shoots the 3. Artest with the hustle, beating McCarty to the loose ball, and then stepped out of bounds.
And Artest has been the one guy. Now, even though Jermaine O'Neal has excellent numbers, everything has gone up. That guy, Artest, has been the key for Indiana. He's the guy the Celtics have had a tough time guarding.
A live TNT NBA Spanish language feed is now available by SAT. Here's McCarty from the other side. Yes, he line drives at another 3.
There you go. That's what Eric Williams doesn't do. He doesn't shoot the ball from the perimeter, nor does he shoot it with range the way McCarty does.
Teardrop missed by Tinsley, but able to hit on the funnel, and the Celtics now lead it 6-2.
And when you look at the playoff statistics, Tinsley is ranked up there in three-point shooting and field goal percentage, but basically, he did all that the first 2 games. He hasn't played as much in the last couple games because of Tim Hardaway coming on strong.
Antoine Walker makes his move, and a foul on Reggie Miller.
You see this matchup, Reggie Miller guarding Antoine Walker. So what the Celtics have done is go right down the low post with Walker, where you don't normally see him play a whole lot. As a result, Indiana's had to come and double team right away. So here's your first substitution. Foster now comes in. He will now match up with Walker, and they will not have to double team Walker as much.
And Foster played very well the other night in Game 5. McCarty for 3. Going around the horn, hit one from the right, from the left, tried the left corner, but came up short. Tinsley being played by Gell. Artest is open. And here's it from the crowd after shooting the air ball. Ron Artest has done an excellent job defensively against Paul Pierce. The beautiful passing, Matee not able to finish, but he was fouled. Tony Matee headed to to the line. Foul by R1G6.
You see, don't look at the rim. The defender closes out. He goes past him, and a beautiful pass underneath the Tony Battee.
2 shots for Battee. Only 6 teams have come back from a 3-1 deficit. Only 2 since back in 1981. NBA playoff competition. Miami, the last to do it against the New York Knicks in 1997. Celtics done it twice in 68 and 81.
You know, you brought that up because I asked you that question last night about Miami, who was the last team to do it. I don't know if you knew that last night. Eventually you got it. After much soul searching.
Well, it was not exactly a stumper. They were very proud. Celtics with a 7-2 lead. 3 minutes gone by. The steal by Pierce. Miller is back. And Pierce fires one up. Artest tried to save it, but stepped out. So it will be Celtic ball.
You will see Boston try to push the ball back in Indiana every chance they get. They feel they have a much better chance of scoring against them in transition. They, in turn, would like to get Indiana to have to operate against their half-court defense as opposed to letting Indiana run back at them.
As Walker swinging his way and called for the traveling violation. Antoine Walker has pulled his game back in the postseason, not just firing away from downtown. That also has a lot to do with the matchups.
Well, he's shooting 46% in the playoffs, which is outstanding for him. He has only gotten to the free throw line 10 times, 3 to 10 from the foul in the walk in the playoffs.
Here's O'Neal. What is going on with Reggie Miller? Reggie 3 for 10 the other night. Sunday night, game 4, played only 17 minutes, sat out some critical stretches. You get the feeling, aside from the possibility that he's still bothered by ankle injury, as Walker twists his way. Oh, beautiful move by Antoine Walker. You get the feeling he may have lost some confidence in that shot.
Well, I think it's a couple of things. One, I think, giving credit to Boston, Jimmy O'Brien was very unhappy, the coach of the Celtics, after game 1 with their closeouts, challenging shooting. In game 2, they were sensational in their closeouts. So that was part of it. He has not had real easy shots. In fact, he shot a number of times with people flying at him, a hand in his face. The second thing is, I think that he's a little reluctant right now because he is struggling the way he is. I think he feels the pressure that this team needs him to make shots if they're going to have a chance to win.
Well, this is a player who in the past has thrived on pressure, and once again, Miller not able to hit. And O'Neal made the play out of bounds, so the ball back to Boston.
And when you talk to their staff, Isaiah and assistant coaches, they'll tell you that Reggie Miller today at shoot-around had an outstanding shoot-around. He made a lot of shots in the shoot-around. They felt very comfortable with him tonight, but he's wide open for that last one and misses it badly.
Reggie 0 for 3 here at the start. Tony Delk, who's had the hot hand the last couple of games, was fouled. The basket waved off. Foul before the shot attempt. Delk the other night, 8 for 10 from the field. Felt the contact from Tinsley. Here's Pierce off the nice pass. It counts for the foul.
A beautiful curl that time by Tinsley down the lane. Tinsley comes off the screen opposite the ball. He just curls right down the lane. Forster never gets over there in time. Comes over late, fouls him, shot rolls in, and now the chance for the three-pointer.
Isaiah Thomas telling us earlier they must keep Paul Pierce off the foul line. Celtics now lead at 12 to 4. Foster, Artest being played by McCarty. McCarty fell down. O'Neal, and Battee is able to sweep it. Celtics looking sharp here at the start. Pierce, yes. It's a 10-point Boston lead, and Isaiah Thomas wants to pull it over.
This is a double screen in transition for Paul Pierce. 2 Celtic teammates go and screen the defensive people. There you see it, Walker and Battee, and there you see the three-pointer go down for Pierce.
For the Celtics, the last 5 5 of the last 7 scored by Pierce. Pacers only 2 for 10 from the field here at the start. Ron Mercer has checked in, coming on for Jamal Tinsley. Mercer did not shoot well the other night in Game 5. Shot clock to 7. O'Neal. Blocked by the 2. Walker with the skip dribble, puts the move on Foster, and then lost it. A little too fancy on the part of Antoine Walker.
Well, you mentioned that Mercer did not shoot well last game, but in that game, he had the most field goal attempts for Indiana. He took 18 field goal attempts in that game, playing 42 minutes of that game.
Foul on Walter McCarty. You hear the reaction from the crowd. Yes, Ron Mercer, 6 of 18. The other night, and many opportunities in overtime.
Remember, down the stretch of the regular season, he was either the 11th or 12th man because of the rotations. They had just brought Tim Hardaway in, things like that. Took his playing time away. Because of matchups, Isaiah has gone to him now the last couple games in the playoffs.
Oh, nice move. Jeff Foster able to recover his own shot. Showed some quickness there. Celtics now lead it 14-6. Just under 6 remaining in the first quarter. Boston remaining the same following the timeout. Battle between Artest and Pierce. Artest is so strong. And Pierce has to give it up. It's a 24-second violation.
A little bit too much time in trying to execute in the half-court offense for the Celtics. As I mentioned earlier, they would much rather face a transition defense from Indiana as opposed to the half-court defense of the Pacers.
Indiana going without a true point guard. We saw Mercer bring it up. Artest can also handle it. Here's Mercer coming off the pick. Miller gives it back. Mercer with the shot clock running down. And back comes Walker. Look out, Foster. Trying to get it to the blind side. Here's Delk for 3. Tony Delk has been on fire the last 2 games. 14 for 23. He's averaged 15 a game in the series. Artest cut off by McCarty, then met on the double team.
Well, as you know, the one guy Isaiah Thomas told us prior to the game he was afraid could explode for them was Tony Delk.
Oh, beautiful move again by Foster. We were talking about the fact that Jeff Foster came off the bench the other night, had a solid game. Brad Miller, who starts at center, is still not 100% from that foot injury. But T was able to knock it down. An injury suffered in early March. He missed 6 games and came back. You recall Shaquille O'Neal stepped on his foot. But after that, not the same players we saw first half of the season. Beautiful pass. Foster setting it up for Miller.
Little rough cut on the weak side of the floor. Up screen. O'Neal screens for Reggie Miller. Maybe that's what it'll take to get Reggie Miller going in this game.
Again from downtown. And the Celtics 4 of 5 from beyond the three-point line. The Boston onslaught began with Walter McCarty hitting a couple from downtown. Mercer eluding McCarty. The 2 got a piece of it. Kept alive by Mercer. Rejected by the 2. Miller with the shot. O'Neal gets to the offensive rebound. Rejected by the 2. Here's Delk with room. Yes! Bedlam here in Boston. The Celtics have exploded for a 24-10 lead. The Celtics 9 of 12 from the field. They've hit 4 from downtown, but it's the defensive play of Tony Battie that has been able to get them going at the other end.
Clearly a key to the interior defense of the Boston Celtics. The one guy that can go up and block and challenge shots on a regular basis, Tony Battie.
Up tonight, 4 game 6s next. Right here on the TBS Superstation, the Spurs with a 3-2 lead against the Suns. And on TNT, the Nets and Bucks. Nets lead that series 3-2, coverage starting at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, followed by the Timberwolves trying to avoid elimination against the Lakers. The last 7 minutes of Game 5, the Celtics did not score a point. First 7 minutes tonight, they have been able to cash in for 17 points. And a foul is called on Delk as Tim Hardaway has checked in for the first time. Delk reaching in, made contact with Hardaway, so the Pacers will put it in play. And now Jim O'Brien with a substitution. The rookie from St. Bonaventure, J.R. Bremer, will come on. Eric Williams also checks in.
Well, you mentioned the Celtics not scoring in that overtime, but remember, Ron Artest made 1 of 2 free throws, and that was it. It was 1-0 in overtime until finally O'Neal made a short jump shot. They were 1 for 9 and 1 from 10, Indiana.
Artest just did beat the 24, and that shot from downtown. Celtics 24. And the Pacers, 13. Mark Blount has come on for Tony Petit, who was sensational with the 3 block shots. This is Blount, and it's the second go-round as a member of the Celtics. Antoine Walker called for the traveling violation.
That's because of the strength that Ron Artest has. With your back turned to your defender, he's allowed to put a forearm on you. Watch Artest with the arm on. Right arm right there. He's very, very strong. When Walker tries to get going, he's so strong that it travels before he puts the ball down on the floor. And it is legal if the offensive player has his back to the basket. You may have that forearm on.
Al Harrington has come on for Isaiah Thomas. Mercer and Hardaway in the backcourt. O'Neal with Harrington and Artest. That shot was deflected. The Celtics have been all over the basketball. Here's Pierce accelerating and foul blocked by Artest. So Artest picks up his second.
I think it's very important that Artest is on the floor in the game for Indiana. Him picking up the second is key because he's perhaps the one guy that can play Paul Pierce and does a pretty good job of forcing Pierce into becoming a jump shooter.
Ron Artest this past Tuesday night, game high 26 points, 10 rebounds, 4 blocks. Pacers had 10 block shots in that game. And here's Paul Pierce, who spends much time at the line, 80% free throw shooter. You can log on to NBA.com or America Keyword NBA.com for the exclusive 2003 playoff section featuring live post-game press conferences, photo galleries, video highlights, and much more. Love it live on NBA.com. And that is most unusual to see Paul Pierce miss from the line. Here's Artest again for 3. Rebounded by Blount. On McCarty, Eric Williams, Paul Pierce. J.R. Bremer on the floor. Here's Bremer for 3. The Celtics on fire from downtown. 5 for 6 from beyond that three-point line. The Celtics led the NBA once again, and 3-point field goals made and attempted. Meanwhile, the Pacers cannot find the lane.
Well, you see the guard, Bremer, come up with the rebound. That is key. Bremer hits the jump shot in transition. They want to attack in transition, but going back to the rebound, it's essential because Boston feels they can't really match up with the size that Indiana has. Their big guys are blocking out and hoping that the smaller guys chip in with the defensive boards.
Hardaway way off on that first shot attempt. Eric Williams with the rebound. The Celtics have been sizzling here at the start. They've hit 11 of 14 from the field. Now Mercer dealing with Pierce, who goes for the step back. Isaiah Thomas made a switch. He does not want Ron Artest to pick up a 3rd foul.
Like I said, Artest is really the only one that has the strength and gets into Paul Pierce that makes him a different kind of player.
Artest is fouled. Hit on a reach-in.
You'll see that Pierce now, instead of Artest, has Mercer playing it. Mercer, a little bit small, obviously not as strong, and Pierce just takes one dribble, elevates up over the top, and gets a clean look.
Artest will shoot a couple. for the foul. Both teams are now over the foul limit. Ron Artest, who has had a tumultuous season. He's been suspended for a total of 12 games, 8 flagrant foul points. In this series, though, no flagrants to this point. Was hit with a double technical.
Well, Isaiah Thomas felt very confident that he would be able to control himself in this series. He understood that he's hurting the team with the actions that took place during the regular season. Going into the playoffs, he felt very confident he had gotten past that.
Here's blocked. And the Celtics have hit 11 straight from the field. 11 straight shots for a 33-15 lead. Standing ovation to the Celtics as this first quarter runs down. Final seconds of the quarter. Artest working on McCarty. Here's Hardaway for three. A spectacular start for the Boston Celtics. 13 of 16 from the field. 11 in a row. They hit 5 of 6 from downtown after one. It's the Celtics 33 and the Pacers 15.
I feel very special. I don't know about you. And I don't think
You feel special?
I do feel special. Yeah, it's a very special feeling here. Celtics up.
Well, it has been a special first quarter for the Boston Celtics. 13 of 16 from the field. Here's Bremer. Make it 12 straight for the Celtics. They've hit their last 12 shots. Try to check on it as to whether this is a playoff record or a Celtic record. Here's Artest for three. Rebounded by Williams. Elias Sport Bureau says they do not keep those records in terms of consecutive shots. But Boston has hit its last 12. Pierce makes it 13. It counts in the foul.
It starts with hustle plays, small things. Just when you think the ball might be going out of bounds, a great save. It winds up going right back in, swing it, and this guy really feels it right now. He's playing with tremendous confidence instead of elevating for the jumper, attacking the rim, Paul Pierce.
How'd you like to have a team that comes out, hits 15 of their first 18 from the field?
Well, Mark, they did it on both ends of the floor. They shot 81% in the first quarter and held Indiana to 22% shooting. But let me say this about Jimmy O'Brien's team. In game number 5, for the first 3 quarters of that game, it was very similar. Indiana only shot 33 or 35% from the floor, but in the fourth quarter, Indiana wound up shooting 73%, tied the game and won it in overtime.
Off the strip, Harrington had it knocked away, and again, here come the Celtics. Miller back on the floor, able to knock it free, took it away from Pierce, and Pierce recovers, he ties it up, so it will be a jump ball. This all began as Walter McCarty hit 2 from downtown to open the game. Then Boston actually missed 3 straight shots, and they now have hit their last 13. Minute gone by in the second quarter. Ron Artest hears it from the crowd as he takes a seat. Artest with a 2 foul. Celtics with a commanding lead here at the start. Tinsley back on the floor. Harrington. Now Harrington rebounded by Jermaine O'Neal. So O'Neal able to squeeze his way through a couple of Celtics. Boston 38, Indiana 17. Celtics hoping to wrap the series tonight here at home in 6. Indiana Pacers seeking to take it back to Indianapolis for Game 7 on Saturday. Wow. 14 straight shots successful for the Celtics.
They must have pulled Blount's number. What do you think, Marv?
Everyone getting into the act for Boston. Al Harrington has had a strange series. I know the feeling is that Brad steal. Harrington, who's had a solid year, maybe too revved up here in the postseason. Coaches feel that he needs to settle down. He's shooting only 24% from the field.
Well, he's a young man who normally plays with high energy and a lot of self-confidence. That is not there right now. And as a result of him not understanding what the playoffs are all about and the different emotions that run through your body come playoff time, he hasn't been able to deal with it. In fact, even his energy level, they'll tell you, has not been the same as it normally is. He's got to get himself out of his funk. How do you do that? It all happens with playoff experience.
Right O'Neal at the line. The other night, in Game 5, Jermaine 19 points, 22 rebounds. It's Tony McKee checking back in. Team with 3 block shots in the first quarter.
You hear the crowd counting, Mark. That's 1 to 10. Yes. That's because they feel Jermaine O'Neal took so long at the foul line that it's a violation. You have 10 seconds to shoot the ball once you get the ball at the foul line. So they're helping the officials out.
And looking to get deep into the mind of Jermaine O'Neal. Here's Bremer. Williams. Check the clock. Out of 5 of the 24. He's going to have to fire. Here's Weber. Able to penetrate, and the Celtics finally missed a shot. O'Neal with the block, and now a jump ball. So they hit 14 in a row.
You had a high percentage shot driving to the basket. The only problem is you had one of the better shot blockers. Jermaine O'Neal averaging 3 block shots per game here in the playoffs. Walker almost came up with that second shot opportunity, but got tied up.
The Celtics went nearly 12 minutes without a miss. McCarty over O'Neal. All right. It is back to reality. Here's Miller. He is fouled. Brad Miller taking it to the rim. And fouled by McCarty. That's 2 on Walter McCarty.
So Isaiah Thomas going back basically to his starting team with the exception of Harrington being on the floor instead of Artest because Artest picked up 2 quick fouls.
That was called a non-shooting foul. Brad Miller over Antoine Walker. Rebounded by O'Neal. Jermaine O'Neal with 7 points.
And he also has 7 rebounds right now for Indiana.
Celtics 40, Pacers 20. We're early in the second quarter. Both these 2 clubs not playing well coming into the playoffs. Boston in the regular season 44-38, finished as the number 6 seed. Indiana 48-34, the number 3 seed. It has not gone well for the Pacers in the second half of the season. And one stretch in mid-February, they were 37-15 on top of the world. They finished the season going 11 up, 19 down. Antoine Walker from way downtown and a loose ball foul on the Pacers. O'Neal is called for the push.
Remember, Mark, live and die with jump shots, all right? And that's the philosophy of Boston, is to take a lot of jump shots. But when you're missing, you back in transition defense, and it gives your opponent a lot of opportunities to get back in it quickly.
Isaiah in his 3rd season as head coach of the Pacers and has been under fire in Indianapolis. His first 2 years, 41-41, and then 42-40. They opened up this season thriving, as I mentioned, had that record of 37-15 at one point, but it has gone the other way for Isaiah Thomas and the Pacers following the All-Star break.
Mark, let's be honest with each other, okay? As the ball rolls in and out.
As opposed to not
you're normally honest. I was going to finish my sentence, but the jumper was going up. I wanted to pause for a second, okay? Go back to when Isaiah Thomas came in. The year before that, when they had gone to the finals under Larry Bird, you had guys like Rick Smith, Mark Jackson, Antonio Davis, Dale Davis, all playing on that basketball team. Isaiah comes in and inherits a different team altogether. It was a rebuilding process, but one that, along with Donnie Walsh, the president of the team, they did not want to fall off the edge of the table. They wanted to continue to win while they were rebuilding. So as you said, they go 500, make the playoffs. They go 42-40 the following year with a very young team, and now 48-34. A lot of guys would like to have 48 wins in their third season with the team.
And Reggie Miller actually, let me be honest with you, missed a free throw.
Thank you for your honesty. Appreciate that.
Celtics 40 and the Pacers 21. And now the Celtics are having difficulty locating shots.
I'll give you another guy. Sam Perkins was on that team.
Walker. Sam Perkins was a veteran who had obviously had savvy, but he was a guy who...
What about Antonio Davis? What about Dale Davis? What about Rick Smits? And he doesn't have major roles.
You mentioned Sam Perkins.
Be honest.
He's just another, be honest, reserve at the time. Shot clock to 5. Harrington is blocked by Pierce. And Al Harrington on the follow, so the Celtics now lead 42-23. This is an Indiana team that went to the NBA Finals 4 seasons back. They have been restructured by Donnie Walt, Pierce, and Eric Williams able to get the new 24.
I'm sure that Jim O'Brien would like to see some free throws coming up here because second shot opportunity, all because Miller had to rotate over to try and stop the initial layup.
Indiana takes another timeout with 6.5 remaining. And the first half, it is Boston 44, Indiana 23. In one stretch, the Celtics hit 14 straight shots. Look at the brackets, and you take a look at the overall picture. 7 of the 8 playoff series have gone to a 6th game. Nets and Bucks, game 6 tonight over on TNT.
And to be honest with you once again, Jalen Rose was on that team. Since you didn't like Sam Perkins very much, you basically dissed Sam and said he was not he was a non-productive player
I didn't say that.
at that time.
Once
How about
again,
Jalen Rose?
You've taken it out of context. You mentioned Sam Perkins as if he were the savior of that team, and he was a very fine reserve player. Not a guy who's
Okay, so
turn a team around.
So it was a guy that I had fond memories of.
Here is Brad Miller.
Sorry, guys. Hey, Isaiah's message was simple to the Pacers just now, saying, forget about the offense, worry about the defense, get in there and make the stops. That's what we need to worry about with 6:07 left.
Laura, I do apologize to my partner, Lazar. I know he touched a nerve with you earlier on the way over to the arena. Sorry. The only positive for the Pacers tonight,
Yeah.
28 missed shots, 14 offensive rebounds, with 13 second chance points. But we're really searching because the Celtics are up by 20. And again, you hear the countdown as this crowd tries to bother Jermaine O'Neal. O'Neal now 9 points, 9 rebounds, 7 of the 9 rebounds on the offensive glass.
It might be more dramatic if they counted from 10 down to 1. What do you think? Build up a little more suspense.
I'd get right on it. Just under 6 remaining in the half. Eric Williams. O'Neal trying to draw the foul. Off Runner with the hustle. Nearly picked it off.
Remember now that 24-second clock is down to 23, so they have 7 seconds to get it up instead of 8.
Tinsley getting it across. Artesta's back playing with the 2 fouls. O'Neal is 1 and 2, and again a foul.
I got you. I got you. All right, clear. Take him out.
Dane is shaken up. You see holding that left thigh, left knee area. And Paul Pierce involved in a collision. Here's another look at it.
On the lob over to Thomas. Celtics try to keep one in front, one behind. A little bit of collision there. Paul Pierce banging into that left leg of Jermaine O'Neal. Jermaine O'Neal, one of the big free agents that will be available this year at the end of the season. So big decisions for Indiana. They got Reggie Miller, whose contract is up. Jermaine O'Neal, whose contract is up. Brad Miller, whose contract is up. Eric Strickland's contract is up. A lot of big decisions for the Pacers.
Foul was called on Batum. He pushed O'Neal as he and Pierce came together. Getting back to Isaiah Thomas, when the Pacers were going through their slide in the second half of the season, Isaiah called this team one of the most selfish collections of NBA players that he has encountered in some time. There's Donnie Walsh, Pacers president. In the past, Isaiah kept his thoughts to himself regarding his players. That was unusual. He was trying to reach them. He was trying to turn things around when they went through that 11 and 19 phase.
When you have a young basketball team, at times they lose the concept of team basketball. They revert back to one-on-one play, individual basketball. It's tough for them to see it sometimes. You have to get their attention.
Williams not able to hold on to the rebound. Harrington does. Tinsley and Artest in the backcourt. O'Neal with Harrington and Brad Miller up front. Artest is met by Williams, a blocking foul.
I want to go back to what you said about the statement that Isaiah made. If anybody would know what it takes to turn it around, it's a guy like Isaiah, who himself, he could have averaged 25, 27, 28 points per game. When he was taking 21 to 22 shots a game for the Pistons, they weren't winning like they did when he eventually backed off, gave up of himself to get his teammates more involved, took over when he knew they were struggling, because he had that ability to do that, and they wound up winning back-to-back championships in Detroit. So he has a first-hand knowledge, understanding of what sacrificing for the team is all about.
Artest, a 74% free throw shooter.
I remember as an opposing coach against the Pistons, first thing I'd look for when we picked up the newspapers the next day with Detroit was to see how many shots Isaiah would have. If he had 21, 22, 23, they would lose, and his assist total would be down.
Going glass. I don't think that was his intention. He'll take it. Antoine showing us the teardrop.
I think he was fully intending to use the glass. I saw him practicing before the game, backing him off the glass.
Celtics up by 20. Artest for three. He's been off. Rebound comes to Bremer. Celtics on the run. Bremer straight down the middle and draws the foul.
This is what the Celtics want to do. Push the ball back in transition. You'll see the defense moves the right shoulder into Bremer right there. Sliding over, Tinsley with the foul. Bremer tries to keep his concentration, but misses the layup.
Tinsley called for his second. A.R. Bremer. In his rookie season out of St. Bonaventure, played only 12 minutes in Game 5. In the second half of the season as a starter, he really picked it up, averaged 11 points, including a career high in early March. Bremer with 7 points in his first 3 minutes on the floor here this evening. Artest guarded by Williams. Shot clock down to 3. Here's Harrington. Artest, he just did beat the shot clock.
Again, with the left hand, something that a year ago he was not as comfortable with. This year you see him finish so many shots with his left hand.
Only the second field goal for Artest. He does have 8 points. 19-point bulge for Boston. Just under 4 remaining in the half.
And that's not a shot that the head coach, O'Brien, liked a whole lot. Eric Williams, not a strength of his, shoots that perimeter shot. The further out he gets, the more difficult it becomes for him.
Paul Pierce doing a job on Brad Miller, was able to stay in front of him. It's a mismatch for the Pacers. And a foul is called. It is on Pierce. That is his second.
This matchup seems unusual that you'd have your 2-guard on the center for the opposing team, but Miller plays high many times so he can feed Jermaine O'Neal down the low post area. The Celtics hoping they can get away with it for a while, putting Pierce on it. If they keep going on a regular basis down in the low post to Miller, we'll see if the Celtics make an adjustment.
Brad Miller, an 82% free throw shooter. Well, tomorrow on ESPN, it's Game 6 of the Pistons and the Magic. Magic in front of that series 3-2. Then the Sixers play the Hornets in New Orleans. The Hornets with a dramatic win in Philadelphia last night to keep that series going. Coverage starting at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and on ESPN2 tomorrow at 10:30 it's the Mavericks and the Trailblazers. It's the closest Indiana has been this quarter. It's a 17-point Celtic lead. Last touch by Artest.
See Artest giving Pierce a difficult time. That's the one guy that I feel has a chance of stopping Paul Pierce.
And now Jim O'Brien takes a timeout. 3:06 remaining in the first half here at the Fleet Center in Boston. It's been all Celtics.
Welcome back. Paul Pierce is averaging just under 26 points per game in this playoff series, but that's nothing compared to his 150 average in bowling. Paul's a huge bowler. He says it's great competition, great exercise, and even better therapy. He says it's a great way to take out his aggression when it comes to certain television analysts who shall remain nameless who went against the Celtics. He goes back for the Charles Barkley head. All the guys, Ernie, Charles, and Kenny, with heads intact, coming up at the Verizon halftime. Mark.
All right, thanks, Laura. That's the way to get it out of your system.
Vent the frustration.
Oh, yes.
You should have had a bobblehead of you there.
Eric Williams. Boston with a 49-32 lead on Indiana. We're just under 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Not only are the Celtics shooting 61%, they're holding the Pacers, or the Pacers are helping hold themselves to 26% from the field. Just 10 of 39. Again, the shot clock rolling down. Harrington has not been able to find the range. Back comes Walker, and now slowed up by Artest. And Joe Crawford holding the foul away from the ball. Indiana with their 14th foul. It is on Brad Miller. Quite an all-around day for the Crawford family. Joe's brother Jerry, longtime Major League umpire, also in town, as it turns out, in the same hotel as Joe. Jerry worked for the Red Sox Royals game out at Fenway this evening. Bremer way off. He was looking for contact, and here comes Tinsley. O'Neal had it broken up, and last touch by the Celtics.
Is this like Brothers Day? Because there's your brother, yes, Al, doing the broadcast back to Indiana for the Pacers.
My older brother Al will older telecast with Clark Kellogg.
He was way behind.
2 minutes.
Shot clock to 7. Miller rejected. And once again, it is Tony Matee. That is his 4th block shot. 3 on the shot clock.
Here's the block by Matee.
O'Neal. And that's a 24-second violation. And O'Brien going deeper into his bench. Tonight, Kedrick Brown, who has been out of the rotation, is on the floor for the first time.
One thing you don't want to do is give Indiana a little run right before the half here to let them feel that they've got a chance to get back in this game.
Offensive foul, illegal pick set by Antoine Walker. That is his first. And now, Louis Grillo indicating a technical foul. Technical on the Pacers, and Bremer will shoot the tee.
There's a technical foul on 7
Technical on Jermaine O'Neal. As on earlier in the season, Jermaine O'Neal would argue ball pulled back quite a bit in the second half of the year, and it has helped. He had 13 technical fouls called his first 50 games.
Well, young guys sometimes play with a lot of emotion. Sometimes they get overly aggressive, too emotional. And they have to grow and mature and understand that you can hurt your team severely if you hit with technicals, if you points on the board to your opponent. Ejection hurts because you can't do the things that you're capable of doing to help your team win.
Offensive foul on the Harrington, so the ball back to the Celtics with a minute 20 remaining in this first half.
Indiana must capitalize. If you get a turnover for the Celtics, you have to take advantage of that, go down and score. If you're going to chip in and make a little run, if you get this thing down to 10 or 12 by halftime, you got to be feeling good when you go in, knowing that the Celtics have played so well, you played so poorly, and here you're only 10 or 12 down. So you got 1:15 to cut into this lead.
At one point, the Celtics hit 14 straight shots. They've gone cold recently without a field goal the last 3.5 minutes. Roberts way downtown. Pass intended for Brad Miller, broken up by Kedrick Brown. Kedrick, a guy who's made the leap from junior college to first-round draft pick of the Boston Celtics. Explosive leaper, still raw. Coaches would like to see more at the offensive end. And a foul against the Celtics. Harrington hits the floor. It is on the tee. That's his second.
A couple years back, we had the 3 first-round picks for the Celtics. Forte was one of them. Joe Johnson is now out for Phoenix. And the other guy was Brown, as you just mentioned. And Brown playing limited minutes here. So looking back at those picks, you kind of say, maybe we should have gone in another direction.
Although Joe Johnson was involved in a major trade. Tony Delk acquired from Phoenix, along with Rodney Rogers, Johnson, Randy Brown, and Milt Palacio. Rodney Rogers ended up leaving the Celtics, signed as a free agent with the Nets. But had a very strong season last year for Boston. A team that did make it to the Eastern Conference Final. Over the last 3 minutes, neither club has come up with a field goal.
That's why I think Jim O'Brien has done such a terrific job with this Celtics team. Rogers is gone, Kenny Anderson, 2 players, veteran guys who have outstanding years from last season. We have to kind of start over again, missing some pieces this year.
New shot clock for the Celtics. And they are hearing the applause from this crowd. They're up by 16 points. Williams saw the opening. And here comes Tinsley. Time running down in this first half. Harrington. We're down to 5 seconds. Walker around Tinsley. Walker fires. Saw Test step away. Did not want to pick up a third foul. So that is the end of the first half. Both clubs involved in a drought in the final minutes. This looked like the overtime session of Game 5. Boston led by as many as 23 points. They now lead by 16. Both clubs going cold in the final minutes. Let's go over to Laura.
Thanks, Paul. We were talking about how offensive your offense was after Game 5, and it is again tonight for all the right reasons. You make 14 straight baskets. What's gotten into you guys?
Well, we felt like we let Game 5 get away, so we came out. We're really excited to come out for this game at home for the whole crowd, and, you know, we're just letting the crowd carry us.
Defensively, holding the Pacers to 24%. What are you guys doing there?
Well, we're playing good on the first shots. We're giving them too many offensive rebounds. If we can clean that up, continue to play the defense that we're playing, we shouldn't have a problem.
All right, thanks, Paul. Good luck. Paul Pierce, 10 points. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, Laura. The story in this first half, over a 12-minute stretch, the Celtics hit 14 straight shots. They lead by 16 at the half here at the Fleet Center. Now let's go to Atlanta studios. The first half, Indiana only 23%. They hit 10 out of 43 from the field. How about 1 of 11 from downtown, while Boston at 20 of 40. Over the first 14 minutes, they were 16 of 19 from the field. And again, a invisible night for Reggie Miller.
You go back inside. First of all, if you're Jim O'Brien, you say to your team, okay, guys, let's do the same thing in the second half. Yes, if you're
coaching.
If you're Isaiah Thomas, you got to find a way to get guys involved that can bring you back in the game. Obviously, one guy would be Reggie Miller. 1 for 5 from the floor, 0 for 3 from the three-point line. If Reggie can start knocking down a couple of threes, you get a little more contribution out of Brad Miller and Jamal Tinsley, then you got a chance of working your way back in here.
Reggie Miller has not been able to work out of what has been a playoff funk. Actually, second half of the season, he was not the same guy. 1 for 5 in the first half tonight. Let's go over to Laura Oakman. Laura?
All right, reports from both sides. As for the Celtics, Jim O'Brien telling the group, keep moving the ball and start controlling the defensive glass, because that's where the Pacers are scoring when they're scoring, outscoring Boston 15-2. As for Indiana, Isaiah Thomas telling me this is still a very winnable game. Just look back to Indiana when Boston came back from an 18-point deficit. He said, we can do it. Our goal, put the ball in the hole. The first 6 minutes, we want to get down to 8 or a 10-point deficit. Mark?
All right, Laura, third quarters have not been kind to the Indiana Pacers. They have struggled in this playoff series. Here's Miller giving it up. In the past, he would have pulled up for a jumper, but he is reluctant to shoot the ball.
Yeah, it's almost like he doesn't want to continue to assert himself because of how badly he has shot the ball recently. Doesn't want to hurt his team, but in fact, he needs to be a little selfish right now to try and get something going.
With the shot clock running down, O'Neal not able to make contact with the rim. It's a 24-second violation. Isaiah Thomas also telling Laura that Tim Hardaway, suffering from back spasms, is questionable in the second half.
That was the guy that he had intended to go to early in this game. 2 big three-pointers from Tim Hardaway in game number 5. That is 1.
Pierce. So Pierce 5 for 9. He has 12 points. As Tim Hardaway with a major impact the other night. 5 of 9, 13 points, 3 from downtown, 6 assists. But has a back problem. Now Walker switches off. Pass from Harrington broken up. Walker off the head fake, spinning his way, and scores.
He spun right back into Jermaine O'Neal and still got enough over him for the score.
So the Celtics, who came on quickly at the start with those 2 3-pointers by Walter McCarty, opening up fast here in the third quarter. Offensive foul. It is on Al Harrington.
Well, Isaiah has to be really careful right now, because you go in at halftime, you're down 16 points. You talk about your team getting it back to 10 or 12 at the end of the quarter, and you still got a chance. But suddenly, if this thing moves up to 24, 25, they could lose their belief that they still have a chance of coming back.
And Isaiah going deeper into his bench for Jonathan Bender, who has not played in 3 of the first 5 games. And in the 2 games where he did see action, he played briefly.
Another guy who can shoot 3-point shots, a way of making up points.
Walker goes right at Bender and rebounded by O'Neal. Celtics back up to a 20-point lead. They've led by as many as 23. Tinsley. A loose ball foul against the Celtics. Foul on Walker, that is his second. The Pacers going with Tinsley and Miller at the guards. O'Neal, Bender, and Artest up front. An Indiana team that went 48-34 in the regular season, number 3 in the East, so they do have the home court advantage with the Celtics have been able to clean. Here's O'Neal. Indiana earlier in the season on top of the Eastern Conference, but had the bad second half. Celtics also had their ups and downs during the regular season, and they dropped to the number 6 seed. Shot clock to 6. Walker. Back comes Tinsley. It is broken up by Williams, but is called for a foul. A quick second-team foul on Boston.
Pacers trying to come down and see if they can find a way of getting some easy scores in transition. Artest almost had the layup. Foul's called on the outside.
O'Neal being guarded by Petit. And the foul on Petit. He got O'Neal with the body. That's 3 on Petit.
Remember this, it's not like Boston has a lot of depth up front when you talk about big people. What you see the effect Petit can have on the inside. In the first half, we saw him blocking shots, everything near the basket. That time, O'Neal taking it right to him, protecting the ball, so Petit could not block it, but pick up the foul.
Commanders 5 for 6 from the line. Leading the Pacers with 13 points, 11 rebounds, and now the team will sit down. Mark Blount checks back in. Mark Blount in his 3rd year out of Pittsburgh, spent his first 2 years with the Celtics, signed with Denver as a free agent last summer, and then was reacquired from the Nuggets in that deal involving Shammond Williams.
Guys trying to fill in, role players that have a job to do when they come on the floor, give the main guys a break just for short minutes. You know, you see 8 names perhaps in the Celtic rotation more, but in essence, it's really just 6 guys.
Here's Pierce from downtown. 15 for Paul Pierce. And the Celtics have been doing it with the 3-point shot. Boston with their 6th 3-pointer. Another block shot by the Celtics. It was Tony Petit who had it going in that department in the first half with 4. Pierce again. Celtics lead by 22. Paul Pierce has come out firing in the 3rd quarter. Foul is called on Eric Williams. It is being called in the act.
So as Pierce comes down with Artest, hugging him tight, just his ability to go hard, then stop suddenly and pull back on that jump shot, created enough space for Artest couldn't recover in time.
Oh, once again, Jermaine O'Neal to the line, and we'll hear the countdown. Paul Pierce, 3 for 3 from the field in this 3rd quarter, 17 points in all. And now Walter McCarty will check back in, replacing Tony Delp. Delp with 8 points, hitting 3 for 4.
You know, Marvin, it's generally considered that Indiana's roster is a deep roster. They can go 1 through 12 and have guys that come on the floor and can really contribute. But sometimes against a team like Boston that goes with just primarily 6 players, your depth, which is normally an asset, can be a disadvantage to you, because what happens is you have so many players sitting there wondering why they've come out of games early, why they're not getting the minutes they should be getting, why they're not getting the shots they should be getting. And they have to understand that suddenly in a series, you may have to change the normal routine of the regular season to be able to adapt to a team like Boston, which primarily uses 6 men.
Obviously, Tony Delp was just fouled by Jamal Tinsley. Remaining on the floor, Eric Williams sitting down off that last substitution. Well, trying to keep it alive. Now Tinsley looking to set it up. O'Neal, and it knocked away, and stolen. Walker leads the attack. Puts the ball by Bender, and is rejected by Bender.
Bender long, has the ability to go up, block shots, also a very good three-point shooter. So Isaiah trying to get him back in here for offense, but he happens to come up with a big defensive play right there.
Offensive foul. Blount tried to set the screen and call for the foul.
And Jimmy O'Brien a little disgusted with that because you don't want to give up a possession and an opportunity to get a shot at the basket, particularly when it's in Pierce's hand all alone at the three-point line.
3 on Blount. Boston up by 20. They've led by as many as 23. Pierce, another Indiana turnover. They're 5th for the quarter. Here's Pierce going all the way down with the follow. Tony Dell extends to a 61-39 Celtic lead, and Isaiah Thomas calls for time.
Changing ends of the floor. After Pierce came up with the ball, it was 2-on-2, but then it suddenly turned into a 3-on-2 for white shirts. 2 dark shirts back, 3 white jerseys there for the Celtics, and a lay-in by Dell.
And there is John Hondo Havlicek of JoJo White in front of Hondo, one of the great players in the history of the NBA. And when you look at playoff career scoring, Hondo is the number 3 man in Celtic history. Larry Bird is second, averaging just under 24 per game in postseason play. And the leader is Paul Pierce, 24.9 per game. So Paul Pierce leading an illustrious list. 61-39, Celtics on top, 6:45 remaining in the third. Eric Strickland has checked in for the first time. Strickland with the shot. So Isaiah Thomas using more of the roster.
There's a little bit of a debate or concern up here by some of the writers as to who is the all-time greatest scorer for the Celtics. We see the goaltend call that time on the block shot. He was walking away from the basket. All-time greatest scorer. Was it Havlicek, who had over 30,000 points? Was it Larry Bird or Paul Pierce? What's your feeling?
Well, it's a nice newspaper debate. For pure scoring, it would have to be Pierce. I'm talking about all-around players. Reggie Miller finally hits a 3. But when you look back at those sensational Boston Celtics teams, 16 championship teams, you had guys like Bird and Havlicek. It's a defensive 3-second violation leading to a technical foul. But those teams were structurally sound. The top players were also surrounded by other Hall of Famers.
And if the article, the feeling of the article is just that Havlicek, over 30,000 points scored, did it all within the team concept. He was not a guy that you would isolate. You see Commissioner David Stern talking to John Havlicek. Havlicek was not a guy that you would run isolation for, a one-on-one guy. He did it within the flow of the offense. Bird at first came and was part of the team concept of Pierce missing the 3. Then Larry Bird had to take advantage of mismatches and really became a player who they would isolate and take advantage of his size against other people. Block shot there on the inside by the Celtics. Whereas Pierce is the consummate one-on-one guy. Give him the ball, isolate him, he breaks the guy down and scores.
Here's Pierce. The block rejected by O'Neal. McCarty, yes. Good job by the 2 Celtic big men, Tony Battie and Mark Blount, protecting the goal.
You never hear about Tony Battie. You hear the coaches talk about him, his importance. And they said earlier in the year when he had gotten hurt, when he got into early foul trouble early on, they could not sustain their energy at the defensive end of the floor. That's how key he is for them.
Blount very active, was looking for another rejection, but called on the foul.
And Blount knows that his job is don't worry about fouling. Protect the rim. When Battie's out of the game, my job is to take his place, rebound, play defense in the post, and protect the front of the rim. Go after the shot.
4th foul on Blount. Eric Williams getting set to return. Jonathan Bender at the line. 71% free throw shooter. Now Williams comes on for McCarty. Walter McCarty set the tone early by hitting those three-pointers right at the start. Talking a moment ago, his first point since the two shots.
Exactly.
Strickland applying some pressure, but Delk able to bring across.
Delk, not a pure point guard. When they got rid of Kenny Anderson, they lost a guy who could run pick and rolls, that could get in the lane and create shots off the dribble. They started Delk because they knew that Walker right there with the score. Walker and Pierce were going to do the majority of the handling. So they wanted a point guard that was going to be able to spot up and make shots as a result of Pierce and Walker. They started Delk early in the year. They got away from him and went to Bremer as a starter. But come playoff time, Jim O'Brien felt he had to go with the veteran guy Delk to start as opposed to Bremer.
Foul on Pierce, his third.
If you can feel the defender, you know which way he's leaning. You go opposite, just what Walker did there. Little shake by Antoine.
23-point lead for Boston equals their biggest of the game, and Reggie Miller just 6 points thus far, and now 2 of 3 at the line.
Donnie Walsh, the president, has said that they want to sign Reggie Miller back again next year, free agent. They want to go after him. Obviously, Reggie Miller, such a key piece to this organization for so many years. The only team he's played for, there's Donnie Walsh. And Miller struggling here in the playoffs, but this is one of the all-time, especially if you're going to be talking about how a guy's supposed to act, part of the team. That's what Reggie Miller is all about.
Walker, Blount got a piece of it, but Artest took it away. Artest trying to put a move on Pierce. Good job by Pierce staying in front of Artest. He's forced into a bad shot.
Marv, as you know, going back to last summer in the World Championships, Reggie Miller had a really severely sprained ankle. That thing has never been right for him. He may have to undergo surgery at the end of the season.
Reggie at age 37. Blount rejected by O'Neal, and a foul is called.
Well, this is really close here to being a great defensive play. Pierce sees him underneath. O'Neal recovers from behind, and I'd say it almost looks like it's a great block from behind.
Blount to the line, a 73% free throw shooter. Pacers are 19 of 24 at the line. These are solid numbers for Blount, who has been altering shots. He's come up with 4 blocked shots and looking for a 7th point. Celtics 69 and the Pacers 47. Boston looking to wrap this series before the home crowd. And they have done it in emphatic fashion. Artest out of the shot clock. Pacers have been a confused ball club right from the start.
The confusion right there to drive to the basket. And lay at that time by Antoine Walker. Confused from the offensive standpoint that they don't seem to know exactly what they're getting into in the offensive sets. When you miss shots, Mark, it puts doubt in everyone's mind.
They're on their feet and cheering here at the Fleet Center. Boston with its biggest lead of the night. It has been total destruction. Celtics 71 of the Pacers 47.
Antoine Walker wants to take Bender on his own. One-on-one for Walker. And there's the 3 by Antoine Walker.
And this stuff is unnecessary.
Still got a quarter to go. I'd rather wait till this whole thing is over before I start celebrating.
17 points for Walker, 11 of the 17 here in the third quarter. That's a 3 for Artest. But when you start celebrating like that, And we know Antoine Walker is really a good guy, but that is such an unlikable moment when you see a player do that.
Well, I just don't like it in general in sports. I don't like the celebrations you see in football. I don't like the way guys run bases anymore. In baseball, when they knock them out of the ballpark, I think there's a little too much of that going on. There's a time and place for everything. Right now is not the time to be shaken.
Coming up on a minute and a half remaining in the third. Our test is way off. O'Neal. Maine O'Neal. So the Celtics now lead 74-52.
35 to 29 advantage on the glass for Indiana. Offensive rebounds have been a big concern. The guy you just mentioned, Antoine Walker, although he may have been shaken a little bit more, he was shaken also with the ball in his hand. First he eludes Bender by crossing over left to right and laying it in. Then he gets himself back behind the three-point line. He had just beaten him off the dribble, so Bender gives him a little too much room. Space equals 3.
All right, thanks, Ernie. Ron Artest has picked up his third foul. Down to a minute 15 remaining in this third quarter, and the Celtics up 74-52. Eric Williams posting on Jonathan Bender, and he is fouled.
Can I say back to Marv or Marv and Mike?
I believe it was Marv.
Laura
He may have mentioned Jeff's name.
Laura did that also. But she knows she doesn't understand. You always go back to Marv and Mike. Marv and Nazar, never just Marv.
He said back to Boston.
Oh,
that was it. Eric Williams able to convert 1 of 2. Eric Strickland now handling at the point.
The matchup here, Paul Pierce playing Strickland, kind of give Pierce a break.
Jonathan Bender able to knock down the perimeter shot. Let's go over to Lauren.
You guys, usually Isaiah Thomas is very mild-mannered in his timeouts. Not this last one. He was in his guys' faces saying, don't you quit out there. Pointing to each one of them saying, I've seen you quit. I've seen you quit. We need to get in there and fight. I don't want to see one guy quit on me. Marv and Mike, back to you.
Thank you. Wow, that's special. Yes. Thank you, Laura.
Jonathan Bender called on the foul. An unhappy group of Indiana Pacers. As you can understand, the Celtics came out with a blitz at the start. They just blew it open in the first quarter. They began that run of 14 straight field goals, which is incredible. And we're told that the Celtics and the Elias Sports Bureau are still trying to check things out. That's a 3 for Bender as to whether A, it is a Celtics franchise record, B, whether it is an NBA playoff record. We have not come up with the answer.
Do you think people really never kept that before? Is that a statistic that has gone by?
Consecutive shots is a stat that there always seems to be some difficulty in coming up with the record.
How about R.B. Holland?
He might have it right off the top of his head.
Philadelphia is sitting there right now in Philadelphia with the stack.
77-58, Celtics. Bremer with the step. Trying to go to the left hand, it was rejected. Here's Williams, and that will count as a goal fan as O'Neal looking for the block shot, but the basket count.
Smart move by Williams that time. He knew that O'Neal was waiting there to block it. He got it up quick so that it was on its way down before O'Neal could jump.
Coming up on 10 seconds, remaining in the third, and Indiana holding for a final shot of the quarter. And again, an ovation for the Celtics as this third quarter winds down. Here is Strickland. The Boston Celtics 1 quarter away from eliminating the Indiana Pacers and advancing to the second round of the playoffs. Celtics 79, the Pacers 58. take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Marv Albert with Lazar, Mike Fratello, Laura Oakland, fourth quarter underway. Crowd feeling that this series is on its way to a conclusion. Boston with the commanding lead. The Celtics with just an astounding shooting display in the first half. At one point, they hit 14 straight shots. They hit 16 of their first 19. As you'd expect, they did cool off last 10 minutes of the second quarter. Foul is called on the Celtics. It is on Blanc. So that's number 4 on Blanc.
And the Celtics now starting this fourth period, holding a 21-point lead. Indiana has their work cut out. Last game, in game number 5, Boston was up 9 points. That was their biggest lead in the fourth quarter of game number 5. And that's when Indiana put the clamps on. They suddenly got hot shooting the basketball, wound up winning that game in overtime. 9 points, a little different than 21.
Well, and McCarty sit down, and a foul is called. Jermaine O'Neal, driving to the bucket, was hit. Foul on Petit. That's 4 on Petit.
You want to play defense, but you want to play defense without fouling. When you foul, it stops the clock. It allows the opponent to go to the free throw line, put points on the board without losing any time off of the game clock. So you want to keep your defensive intensity up. You don't want to give them easy scores, but that's what will put a team on a run.
And O'Neal spending much time at the line. Has 19 points, 14 rebounds. So the Celtics now lead by 19.
That O'Neal, Marv, has upped his rebounds per game 7 in the regular season. Just over 10 to 17 rebounds a game here.
22 the other night. Averaging 24 points, 3 block shots, and the 17 rebounds in this series. Down to 3 on the 24. Pierce for 3. Yes! What an effortless looking shot. Being played by Jermaine O'Neal, he was able to step back and release.
Still got it over the top of him. It made it look easy, like you said.
And O'Neal is clobbered by the team. That's 5 on Tony Petit.
Switch out by O'Neal. He does a pretty good job of moving his feet initially. Right there, he moves his feet. But instead, the step back, the challenge on the shot. And then Pierce just runs down, nodding. I know what I have to do. Here comes O'Neal, aggressive, takes it right into the shot blocker. Petit, and draws the foul.
Celtics now 8 for 16 from three-point land. Now 11 and 13 from the line. Program reminder tomorrow on ESPN. It's Game 6 of the Pistons and the Magic, followed by the 76ers. Game 6 against the Hornets. And coverage begins at 7 o'clock. And on ESPN 2 tomorrow at 10:30 Eastern Time, it's the Mavericks with a 3-2 lead going up against the Portland Trailblazers. Scottie Pippen making a major difference last night, coming back from a sore knee after sitting out several games.
Out Rasheed Wallace, the shots he made at the end, that huge three-point miss, and the ball comes right back to him, and he shoots it, makes it, just like Bremer did from deep in the corner. Only Wallace was from the left side of the floor, Bremer from the deep right-hand corner.
12 points for J.R. Bremer. Celtics again by 23. Here's Bender for 3. He's had the touch. That's his second from downtown. He has 10 points in all. So the Celtics lead 85-65. Pierce. Eric Strickland goes to the pull-up and hits a 3 for Strickland. The lead is now 17 with just under 10 remaining in the fourth.
There is plenty of time left in this game. Pacers pick up their defense, force a couple turnovers, and get going down the other end of the floor. You can see that they can strike from behind the three-point line. Right now on the floor, you've got Strickland, you've got Bender, you have Artest, all three-point shooters, along with Reggie Miller, the all-time best three-point shooter.
Foul on Brooklyn, Indiana with their first team foul. Celtics have 3. Walker gets it down low. Pierce is fouled. And Pierce will go to the line.
I think he's going to give it to him more on the side out and call the foul before Pierce. Pierce is one questioning, how could I not be in the act of shooting? I caught it and let it go. That's when I was fouled.
Foul on Reggie Miller. And now Pierce hit by Artest. Ron Artest picked up a couple of fouls early, has not been as effective tonight against Paul Pierce as we saw in Game 5.
You see Pierce clears a little space with that left arm into the ribcage of Artest. Artest retaliates, he gets called for the foul. Often happens the second move is the one that's caught.
Pierce not able to hit, rebounded by Strickland. Artest now playing with the 4 fouls. Here's Bender on fire, rebounded by Bremer. Pacers trying to get back into it by shooting the 3. Bremer. Rebounded by Bender.
See, Bremer's a little too anxious to pull up and shoot jump shots, Mark. He has the ability coming off the screen to get in the lane and then create shots for others. He's a little too anxious to pull the trigger right now, but then again, it's his first year.
And off the collision, a foul is called as Strickland and Bremer came together. Is on Strickland, shaken up on the play. And this is where Isaiah Thomas could use Tim Hardaway, who apparently is not available because of the back spasm.
You talk about poor timing. Hardaway, huge in the last game as they wound up winning that one. Not available to help tonight.
Welcome back to the Fleet Center. I'm standing here with a man who knows all about Celtics playoffs, John Havlicek, who has 8 rings of his own. This is only your 3rd game all season. Talk about the team that you've been seeing tonight, because it was billed as just the Pierce Walker show.
Well, tonight and throughout the course of the year, you live and die with a jump shot. And they're living large tonight, because I don't think I've seen them make this many three-pointers in the games that I've seen this year. Of course, I only saw 3 because I'm in Florida most of the winter, but I saw them lose to Philadelphia and I saw them win last Sunday, and tonight's my 3rd game. So right now their defense is excellent, their offense is going well, and there isn't too much that they haven't done right.
Here's a quiz for you. Greatest Celtics scorer in playoff history. Who would you want out there?
Greatest scorer in Celtic playoff history? I don't know. I think that you look at, I probably played more games than anyone, so maybe I have the most points in playoffs. But, you know, it's an indication that I played a long time, and I'm sure that Larry Bird and Paul Pierce will, if Paul plays that long, will break that record. If Larry played that long, he'd probably break it too.
It's a nice trio. Thanks, John. Guys, back to you.
Talking about the three-point shooting of the Celtics, they have hit 9 of 17. We talked about this earlier. Yes, you do live and die with that three-point shot. Here's Pierce. And Strickland called for the foul, making contact with Delk. A 27-point game is now down to 14 with a lot of time remaining. We have 8 minutes to go. Indiana with 9 unanswered points. However, they are now over the foul limit.
No more in the second half. Isaiah Thomas must have the feeling, and he's right on target, putting the three-point shooting team on the floor. 2-pointers in the second half, just 3 for 10. From the three-point line in the second half, 6 for 11. So to catch back up, he's got the three-point bomb squad on the floor.
The closest the Pacers have been since back in the first quarter. Celtics 87, Pacers 71. Artest for three again.
On cue, there it is. Three-point shot, bringing the Pacers back into the game. Things get a little bit tighter as it gets closer to a 10-point advantage.
You can hear the concern from this crowd. But Paul Pierce having to knock it down, and the Celtics now lead 89-74.
There's the big man screening down on Pierce. We saw it in the first half on the weak side of the floor. That time, same thing took place.
Back comes Pierce. He has Walker on his right. Strickland trying to draw the foul. Here's the three by McCarty. Warren McCarty with his third from downtown. O'Neal getting inside. Celtics 92 and the Pacers 76. Just under 7 remaining on the floor. 24-17 for Jermaine O'Neal. Pierce using the pick, and then Walker, Pierce to his right. O'Neal switching off to Pierce. Shot clock down to 3. Delk not able to hit from downtown. Look out, foul committed by Eric Williams. The Celtics with their 4th team foul.
So what Indiana did is they ran at Paul Pierce, double-teamed him, got the ball out of his hands. They swing it to the left corner. Delk misses the shot, and then jumping for the rebound. There's where the foul takes place.
Strickland and Miller now at the guards. As Strickland trying to get it down low, they get a foul against Boston. It will put the Pacers at the line. It's on McCarty. That's 5 on Walter McCarty. Eric Strickland will shoot 2. Strickland, an 81% free throw shooter. Eric with the Boston Celtics last season in his 7th NBA campaign out of Nebraska. Now McCarty will sit down. He's had impact baskets. Hit a 3 from the right, a 3 from the left to get it going at the start. And just a moment ago with Indiana putting together a run, he knocked down a 3-pointer. Celtics now lead 92-78.
He's only had 6 field goal attempts, no free throw attempts yet, 11 points. Big contributor.
Last touch by Artest. On Artest, has to be very careful playing with the 4 fouls and defending on Paul Pierce. Pierce getting the step, rejected by O'Neal. Pierce got it out. Walker for 3. And back comes Strickland. Strickland breaks it down. Strickland not able to score. O'Neal with the rebound and draws the foul. And we are seeing a re-energized Pacer team here in the 4th quarter. They now have the feeling that they are back into it.
Yeah, and it's led by that man right there, Jermaine O'Neal, who starts it all at the defensive end of the floor. Because when you approach the basket, you're going to find him there to reject shots. And then at the other end, he goes after the second shot opportunity, comes up with it. O'Neal playing like a man possessed right now. After the last time down when they had scored, O'Neal got on his teammates and got getting up, playing full court defense to get them back in this game.
They 12 for 14 at the line. O'Neal with 18 rebounds, 10 on the offensive glass.
Well, it looks like he just jumps by himself. He's so far above the rest of the people. Stronger, jumps better, clearly above the crowd going after the second shot opportunity.
O'Neal converts on 1 of 2, and that 27-point lead is down to 13, just under 6 remaining in the 4th. Celtics have led wire to wire. Eric Williams not able to take advantage. He had the step.
Pacers fortunate that time because he had the open layup, just happened to miss it.
Once again, Strickland able to break it down. O'Neal rejected by Blount. Blount and the T have played a major role. Pierce, Paul Pierce, headed to the rim. Reggie Miller looking for a traveling ball.
What a block that time by Blount. Huge block on him that time.
Artest. That was too easy from the Celtic point of view as Artest was able to take it to the hole.
You see 5 Celtic players, I should say 4, the ones without the ball, all taking their time to walk down the floor. Entry pass made, just 14 seconds remaining on the shot clock.
Rebounded by Blount, and he's fouled. It might be Artest. If it is, it's number 5. Ron Artest has been a spark here in the fourth quarter at the offensive end. 19 points, 8 of the 19 of the fourth. It is 5 on Artest. And a timeout called. 5:02 to go. In the fourth, the Celtic lead is down to 13. But we're told he will play. And last night, John Stockton and Karl Malone, 2 of the greats of the game, future Hall of Famers, knocked out of the postseason by the Sacramento Kings. Much speculation as to where Karl Malone will play next season. It appears, but it's not certain that John Stockton played his last game for Utah, but that may not be a sure shot.
That would be sad to see John Stockton finally. Eventually, it has to happen, but he has been both of such great representatives in the NBA.
John Stockton at 41 years of age is considering retirement. Here's Miller for 3. And Tony Dell on the loose ball. Boston up by 15, just under 5 remaining in the fourth. Pierce over Strickland. So the Celtics settling down and now lead at 98-81. Artest with a wild shot. And the outside official, Bill Spurner, calls a foul on Indiana.
Celtics trying to figure out where the foul comes from. Was basically Artest put his head down, went right through his defender on the glass, then cleared space. Here he goes right through Williams, and then he actually pushes off Blount with the right arm to try and secure the basketball.
Should say a foul on the Celtics. Eric Williams is called on that foul. That's 5 on Williams, and Ron Artest at the line. Artest just 3 for 6.
Martin, he wanted to simplify this series. Every time the Celtics score 100 points, they've won the game. Here they are at 98 points right now with 4:28 remaining.
You believe in that?
There is the old theory, first team to 100 wins the game.
The old theory.
I wasn't around for that theory, but I had heard about it.
Here's Bell wide open.
There it is, 101.
Boston is 11 of 22 from downtown. Bender fires the 3. Miller passed it up. Strickland shoots the 3. Just under 4 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. And the Celtics lead by 19. Walker for 3. Miller had a notion of fire from way downtown, but Pierce came up on him. Strickland and a foul. Eric Strickland has done a terrific job here in the fourth quarter.
Well, he's the guy that was in the rotation earlier in the season, and then with the addition of Hardaway, Tinsley coming back after the personal problems that he had losing his mom this season. It was a very tough time for Tinsley. Isaiah Thomas had used Strickland. He was very productive, but then as Tinsley came back, Hardaway came in, Strickland was losing time.
So the Celtics now lead 101-83. The Indiana Pacers appear to be headed to elimination. And you can see the way their season went. Look out. Jermaine O'Neal being kept away. Joe Crawford, Bill Spooner, ushering O'Neal aside as a couple of Celtics and Pacers had words, and now Antoine Walker telling Paul Pierce to get away from Ron Artest. And let's see how Joe Crawford handles this. We may have an ejection or a double ejection. That seems to be the indication.
Let's take a look and see if we can see what happens on the inside. Going for the loose ball. Watch the right arm of O'Neal when it comes around from that side right there. It may look like a punch was thrown, but he did not throw a punch there. Now, I don't know if the official just thrown both of them out to clean it up so nothing breaks out from there, but I didn't see O'Neal throw a punch, Mark.
Well, both O'Neal and Blount have been ejected. The Celtics will certainly take that exchange, although it's a 17-point game with 3:25 to go. Mark Blount was involved earlier in this series. In fact, Petit, Blount, Eric Williams all hit with flagrant fouls. Petit and Blount with type 2 flagrant fouls. Foul called before the shot by Eric Williams. A stellar performance, though, by Jermaine O'Neal. 25 points, 19 rebounds, 10 of the 19 on the offensive glass, and he has been ejected, along with Mark Blount, who played very well here this evening. So Williams at the line. We're down to 3:15 remaining in the fourth quarter. And a lot of questions facing the Indiana Pacers as they once again are knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. You mentioned a number of free agents. Isaiah Thomas's coaching situation, although Donnie Walsh has always proven to be a very loyal and patient guy. Harrington not able to hit the reverse, and Pierce rebounds, but a disappointing season for an Indiana team that got off to the excellent start. Around the league, people say, well, they have tremendous talent, perhaps the best talent in the Eastern Conference. Here's Eric Williams. Yes.
Well, you hope that the disappointment of being knocked out in the first round for the third straight year doesn't affect any of the thinking of some of these free agents. And the reason, like a guy like Miller losing minutes here in these last couple of games, Brad Miller, you hope that that doesn't affect his thought process, because he has to understand this is a special situation. Eric Strickland, Brad Miller, Jermaine O'Neal, Reggie Miller all leave with a bad taste in their mouth.
Eric Williams, and he is fouled out. Timeout is called. We'll be right back. He's lost it.
He has lost. So you hang around those two guys and you still get long enough, you're going to have problems.
Oh, taking a shot at the complete crew.
The whole crew, that's right.
2:34 remaining in the fourth. So Boston with a 104-85 lead. The celebration has begun here at the Fleet Center. Al Harrington now defending on Antoine Walker. Celtics looking to use the clock a bit. And a reach-in foul is called. Artest took a shot in the mouth in the process. As Ernie mentioned, the winner of the Milwaukee, New Jersey series will face the winner here, the Boston Celtics. And looking back on the season series, the Nets took 3 of 4 against the Celtics. They met in the conference finals last season, won by New Jersey.
Celtics had a tough time scoring points against New Jersey. Only 81 points per game against New Jersey in the 4 games. Jersey outscored them by 12 points per game.
And Milwaukee took the season series. They met only 3 times. Bucks won 2 of the 3. Ron Artest hearing it from the crowd as he has fouled out. It was not a pleasant scenario for Artest. Not only fouled out, but took a pretty good shot.
Well, the last game that they played here in the Garden in the playoffs, he actually hit his face on the floor and chipped his front teeth. Not in the Garden, you know, it used to be the old Garden. No longer. In the Fleet Center.
Artest 6 of 18 from the field, 20 points. Paul Pierce receiving a standing ovation. He came up big tonight, 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. And a foul is called. Paul Pierce, tonight's Gatorade peak performer, able to turn it around from what took place in Game 5 here on Tuesday night when Ron Artest put the clamps on Pierce. Pierce only 5 for 21, missed his last 8 shots, Game 5. Coming up on 2 minutes remaining in the fourth. 20-point lead for the Celtics. And Reggie Miller continues to struggle. Reggie now 2 of 8 from the field.
You know what astounds me? That you questioned when I said first team to 100 wins. You scoffed at it. You almost made fun of it. And here we are.
Well, the team is up by 25 points.
What's
the observation? A 3 for Walker, who now has 21. Harrington fired. Bender comes up short. Bender again. I think that was a very keen observation. The Celtics up by 25. They're going to win it because they are the first to the century mark.
I just gave that to you so you can feel like you're picking on me again. That's all.
You do provide many opportunities. I know Jeff Van Gundy is really looking forward to getting back here.
I miss Jeff. I do. Miss him.
So he can fire away. Antoine Walker receiving a standing ovation. Congratulated by his head coach, Jim O'Brien. 21 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists for Walker, who has pulled his game back, as we touched on earlier, because of the matchups, not just firing away.
Yeah, the other thing he's willing to do, and it goes back to last year's playoffs, is he's willing to submerge his ego, realizing that Paul Pierce is center stage for them. Somebody has to back off a little bit. Walker willing to do that, willing to be on the perimeter a lot, make the passes a lot. As a result, took him out of the low post area where many people feel he should be more often. But he's a different kind of player. He's a unique kind of player. If the two of them can coexist and play this way, Celtics are a tough team.
Grant Long and Kedrick Brown have checked in for the Celtics with a minute remaining in the game. Here's Long. Final minute of the season for the Indiana Pacers. Strickland for 3. And back comes McCarty, hearing the cheers from this crowd.
You know, Mark, when the Celtics added a couple guys to their roster down the stretch, you know who they added? Mark Bryant, Bimbo Coles, and Grant Long. 3 veteran guys, understanding that they weren't going to get in very often. It was the 6 or 7 key guys that are going to make it happen. But veteran guys that understood what their role was and the significance. It really upgraded the level of the Celtics practices. Jim O'Brien will be the first to tell you that bringing the 3 vets in was key for them.
Foul on Harrington with 18 seconds to go. And McCarty will go to the foul line. So the Boston Celtics on their way to eliminating the Indiana Pacers, the number 6 seed, knocking off number 3. But this season in the Eastern Conference, very difficult to get a feel regarding the seeding. It's wide open.
It is. There is so much balance between these teams. Anybody can come out of the East.
There's Strickland. 12 seconds remaining. Final seconds of the game. The Celtics bounce back from the overtime loss, and they have defeated the Pacers in 6. The Celtics advance to the second round. And they'll face the winner of the Milwaukee Bucks, New Jersey Nets.
Matchups are so significant and so important, particularly at playoff time. This was a bad matchup team for Indiana to have to go up against in the Celtics because they downsize. They really don't have a big, strong team. What they have is a team that lives and dies from the perimeter. If they're missing shots, it's a different story. They happen to have the hot hand. They got it going. A couple key spurts by Paul Pierce enabled them to come back in games. Remember, they were down 16, 18, and 16 and come back to win those games.
The Boston Celtics off to the just amazing shooting start. At one point hit 14 straight shots. Paul Pierce, the high man, with 27. Antoine Walker, 21. Tony Delkett at 15. Celtics hit 16 of their first 19. They finish at 48% from the field and take the series in 6. Let's go over to Lauren.
Well, I'm with two very happy Celtics, even though you can't see it right now. You guys are allowed to smile. You did just clinch. Talk about right now how you feel. The Pacers, when they found out they were playing you, said they liked the matchup better because you weren't as deep or dangerous as New Orleans. What's your message to the rest of the league who might have believed that?
Well, we knew that coming in. On paper, I mean, Indiana's good. We had a lot of injuries this year. We got 5 new guys. And we just wanted to show the world that, we're the same team from last year. We believe in Tony Delkett, JR. They said we have a point guard. And we just coming out and playing hard every day. We know hard wins in the playoffs, and that's what we showed this series.
Sum up the key to this series.
Just our energy. We came out, set the tone from day one. We let them know there's not going to be any baskets. We're going to set the tone defensively. And our defense carried us this whole series.
I want a one-word answer. Nets or Bucks? One word.
I don't care. I can't. Doesn't matter, man. We're just happy to move on. We don't care if we play anybody.
All right, the Celtics are moving on. Paul Pierce with 27, Antoine Walker with 21. Back to you guys.
No one is going to provide any ammunition for round 2. Celtics win it going away 110-90. For the czar, Mike Fratello. For Laura Oakman, this is Marv Albert saying good night from the Fleet Center. The Celtics in a run over the Pacers. Coming up, the San Antonio Spurs and the Phoenix Suns in Game 6 of their best of 7.